A few moments in the life of Jim Carrey. The latest film is called Majestic, and I am pleased to have him here at this table for the first time. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you.
Pleasure.
Majestic is a turn for you, you think, or how do you see it?
Well, sure. It's a revealing of another side or another part, another extremity, an interior extremity, I guess. It's much more interior based. It's much more from as we were talking about, sea level,
right? And
trusting things to happen, trusting the story to tell itself, and basically servicing the story.
Is that hard for you because by instinct?
It's hard for me to sit in this chair right now. So yeah,
without doing something.
Exactly.
Without
when there's
controlling
a camera,
the moment.
Yeah. When there's a camera, generally my instinct is to climb the walls, or like the little kitty on the curtains, you know. And so it was difficult at times. There were times I went to Frank Darabont and said, "Nothing's happening," and he said, "You have no idea what's happening. There's so much happening that you're not even aware of."
You have with you you had with you on this Larry Moss, who is a great acting coach.
Terrific, absolutely.
As good as you are, and knowing yourself as well as you do, what does someone like that bring to you in a moment like this? Knowledge,
and also, support. Absolutely. When you go into new areas, you know, you like to be mentored in certain ways. I mean, I'm not too old for a mentor, and he certainly did that.
You never get too old for a mentor.
Absolutely not. You know, I think it's you never get too old to learn something new. And when Frank came to my house and he said, "Jim, I know you're a home run hitter, but now you have to learn a new swing." Yeah. And I said, you know.
Meaning you're not swinging for the fence, perhaps, in a baseball metaphor, or
not necessarily swinging, doing the sacrifice fly, or know, whatever you have to do, and I was just too game. I was into it. I love it. I love the idea that at my age I can learn something new and go into a different area. You know?
You have, to look at your career, had the courage, and I think it takes courage, to move somewhere else once you were very well established at a certain point. You did it. You certainly did it when you were doing stand-up and doing impressions.
Yes.
And you had the courage when you were hot to leave that and say, "Wait a minute, I'll end up in Vegas, but that's not quite where I want to go."
There have been a series of pivotal moments, the crossroads. I come to them all the time. Every couple of years, I'm at another crossroad of some kind.
Well, give me some of them. I mean, after deciding to go differently than doing impressions.
Well, exactly. When that happened, I hate to say this, but it was actually Rich Little. I watched Rich Little, and what's right for him was not right for me. You know, I saw him doing Cary Grant for Cary Grant, and I went, that's lovely, but I want to be Cary Grant. so
you know what? I had a moment like that too when I was a young lawyer and I was watching.
Let me guess, David Susskind.
No, but that's a good idea.
Okay.
No, I wasn't watching that.
Off his lighting, though, I got to tell you.
He won't miss it much because this is what you call minimalist set.
Exactly.
You know,
I used to love that show, though. I loved it when I was a kid. I couldn't even understand what they were talking about, but I knew intelligent people were having conversations.
Saturday night,
it was fascinating.
Was it Sunday night? It was Sunday night in New York, David Susskind, and it was incredible.
It was terrific.
Khrushchev and lots of other people.
Unbelievable.
You know,
Unbelievable.
And one of the
exciting television.
One of the great shows he ever did was when he had all those comics come in. You know, I think he had Mel Brooks and David Steinberg, and a lot of people come and started talking about their parents and their mother and influences.
They weren't as funny as Khrushchev, though.
That's true. Nor did, well, I was thinking Mel may have had more influence. But tell me about the other moments, in a sense of when you turned to film then, and then you made it in film. You had that extraordinary year in 1994.
Yeah, there's all the way along. I mean, the projects you take. I mean, the Truman Show was another moment where I had to kind of deal with, well, you're not allowed to do that. You've presented yourself one way, and it's a tough thing to convince people that there's something more, or that they might want to see something different. But I've always believed, all the way along, I've believed that it was about a spark.
Right.
It was about who you are as a person. It's about your soul.
Yeah.
It's about not necessarily. I mean, you do what you do so well, but there is something about you that is attractive to people in a way that they want to sit and watch you for an hour and listen to you and listen to your insights. But it's about you and who you are.
I once talked to Bill Cosby at a time, and he said, we were talking about something I wasn't doing that I didn't enjoy doing, and he said, change. Because in the end, it's about you.
What is it worth? What is it worth? And that's what I've come to so many times in my career, in my life, is that I've said, the safe road is going to pay off. There are many payoffs to it, but I can't be there and have my soul be on a completely different track. I just, it's always worth losing to me.
It is.
It's always worth risking. And if this other side of me is not a popular one in the scheme of things as far as movie tickets go, then you know what? I'll find a way to sneak it in there. I'll make a plan. I will show myself. You know, I will find a way. And even if I'm not as popular, I will live in that area. I will expand myself. You know.
And what you want constantly changes?
No, not necessarily. But what I want doesn't stem from show business generally. I mean, I started out with many desires as far as this business goes, and I've so surpassed all of them that it's not as meaningful to me anymore. I really love the work itself. I've examined myself on several occasions. Why am I really doing this? Am I doing this because I want to be famous? And I think there was an element to that when I started out.
Sure.
I wanted to be a rainmaker. Yeah. We should talk about that a little further.
Well, what does that mean?
That means I think I wasn't necessarily seen as much or as intently as I wanted to be when I was a kid.
So you went from convincing first you're a miracle and then that you are just like them.
Yes.
And how does that play out today in terms of convincing the world you are just like them, that you are?
Well, what I'm finding is an interesting thing, because I have a lot of people asking me, well, are you afraid that people won't accept you? And I know that in my life, and at least in my, the circle of people I know and know my friends that know my work, it seems like, and even people I talk to, like you, it seems like people are almost waiting for it, that they've suspected that there's another level to me, and they're kind of intrigued and interested in what that might be.
Why this in the great scheme of the context we just talked? Why Majestic, this film?
Just the title. Perfect for me.
It sounds like a theater to me. Just why, though? I mean, if you look at this character and you look at this story, because people say the following things. It's Frank Capra-ish.
Sure.
They say that.
Well,
and you're
a huge Capra fan. I mean, my whole life. Loved Jimmy Stewart. Anything Jimmy Stewart's in is gold to me. Because again, he is a soul on screen that you just want to be with. Doesn't matter what he's doing. And I love the seriousness of his characters too. People think of Jimmy Stewart and Frank Capra as this kind of whimsical thing. These artists, but they always got to a very serious place. I mean, a very dire situation, or there was an undercurrent of corruption always in the pieces that
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, or
absolutely.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, so I've always been a huge fan of that.
You use a great phrase about Jimmy Stewart, who I never met or never knew. I think I once was in the room where he was.
I met him. It was a huge disappointment.
I know, you tell me that story. That's an amazing story. You go and he's at a reading. He's doing a Christmas reading somewhere.
Yeah, and I went up to him as if he was going to be John the Baptist and I was Jesus, and he was going to recognize something in me.
Yes.
And, I had built it all up in my head so much that there was a receiving line to meet him afterwards, and by the time I reached him, I had become him. I had assumed this person was body snatchers, The only thing missing was the pod,
Yes.
And, so I walked up to him, and I was entirely too much. And his honest reaction was to become embarrassed by the attention and walk away. He didn't say a word to me, and I was so crushed. And then I walked out of the church where he was doing the reading, and immediately it hit me, the commandment about honoring false gods hit me. And my life is always like that, by the way. My karma is instant, and I'm constantly sifting through information that comes to me in the universe, even if it's a plaque on the side of a bus. I listen.
You're also, you believe strongly in the idea of the life, that what is the great phrase, which is the unexamined life is not worth living.
Yes.
That in a sense, self-examination is an essential part of growing and reaching some point beyond where you are.
Yeah, it's that, and it's an addiction, honestly. I mean, I'd love
an addiction to just knowing yourself.
Yeah, an addiction to trying to figure out, and maybe this is an impossible task, but, you know, everybody's looking for bliss, you know, in some way or another. And I think I've come to the realization lately that that bliss comes in waves, and everybody gets a certain amount of it.
Yeah.
But in between, it's just hard work being in this body. You know?
And that it is the unwise person to expect bliss will be there all the time.
Absolutely, you know? Absolutely. But you look for it. You look for it, and you wonder why you're off the beam all the time or whatever. So I'm constantly examining myself. I probably do it too much. I've always overthought everything.
I mean, you're reading Emerson, and you read. You know,
right. Which is like the big thing for me, you know, in life right now is the excerpt from Compensation, the essay he did on compensation, where it talks about that man would see the mermaid's head but not the dragon's tail. Yeah. And this is something that happens over and over and over in my life, in relationships, in choices that I make professionally. You know, a lot of times you just don't want to believe in the bad. But the bad is there, you know, the negativity is there, or the obvious drawback to the situation is there, but you just go, I want. Yeah. And that comes down to the I will be done and everything biblical. It's, you know, it's, so I'm always struggling with these concepts. My desire is my only problem in this world.
Your desire?
Yes.
To do, your appetite?
My appetite, yeah, absolutely, yeah. To prove everything and to be everything. But
you also understand, based on some things that I read about you, you know, that in the end it's really a lot about self-respect.
Yes, yeah.
It is, because you know yourself.
Yeah.
And it is...
Well, yeah, and self-respect is certainly one of the major problems in the world. Self-esteem is the reason for most ills. And, you know, desiring what we don't have. I mean, September 11th was an example of someone's desires getting out of control. I mean, so, you know, someone wanting what we have here or wanting to destroy what we have, you know. So you always have to check. I mean, I'm always checking myself, always kind of trying to bring myself back when I'm feeling bad, trying to bring myself back to, hey, you know, I'm sitting here with Charlie Rose, and this is a nice day, and and life is pretty darn good.
I just made a piece of work that I like and admire and feel good about it.
And I think it makes people feel good, you know. It's a strange animal because it's not what's expected of me. It's a gentle movie. It's not an adrenaline flick. So it's tough to be out there in the marketplace of pure adrenaline. But I think the overall effect that people have when they leave the movie is one of that they just had a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And that's a nice thing to be able to give them. It's great.
You tell me the story. I mean, this is an interesting story of Peter. Was it Appleton? Peter Appleton was the screenwriter?
Yeah.
Who is caught up.
Yeah.
He's caught up in the House Un-American Activities sort of witch hunt for looking for communists early on. And then he then goes on a binge, and he's in an accident, and all of a sudden he's transformed to another.
You know, you tell this so well.
Well, wait a minute.
How compelling.
It's a movie you want to see.
And he goes off a bridge. And
all right. Here is our first scene. Take a look at this from Majestic. Jim Carrey. He's just gone after having lived with his notion that he may be suspected of being a communist because he was out chasing some young babe when he was 17. He is now sort of dealing with the fact that he may be a victim in this kind of terrible time in America's life. Here it is.
Ashes to ashes.
If we were watching this, you said in an interesting way, in many ways, Peter Appleton is me, or I am Peter Appleton.
Sure. Yes.
How did you mean that?
Well, in the respect that he has this yearning that is more important to him. Again, false gods.
Right.
When you put something so in the forefront of your life, some desire in the forefront of your life, that everything else starts to suffer. I understand that. I understand that because I've gone that way and had to pull myself back or whatever. But it's the yearning that is can be something very positive. It can create wonderful things. But when it makes you negate your life and the people in your life, it becomes, or you know, again, like when it makes you bear false witness, you know, and sell somebody out. It's just not worth having. You know, that yearning is the tough part. The yearning to kind of have that, but not make it completely consume you.
And that would be the selling out of his friends,
selling out of his friends,
who
yeah.
were not guilty of anything and
He's
who he
living
didn't
in
even know.
He's living in a place of fear of loss,
Right.
you know, and that's always a dangerous character. The guy who's afraid of loss is a dangerous guy, because he's the guy in Hollywood that stabs you in the back, or, you know, turns on somebody or whatever. You know, trying to protect.
If
this
you know,
dream.
if you know a man's fear, then you can conquer him. Some say.
Truly, I mean, that's what the Blacklist era was about. Somebody, you know, McCarthy, sat back and said, "My gosh, what a wonderful fear to take advantage of, and to bring myself to power through it." You know,
he gets there though in a very fascinating way to get to the end, which we can't really disclose. But there is this notion that he has discovered after this accident. He has an accident discovered by people in a town, small little town with small town values, all sort of Frank Capra.
Sure.
And they think he is someone else, and they think he is someone that he would come to admire, who died in the war.
Yeah.
Why does he let that happen? What's that about?
Why does the character let that happen?
Why is he willing, even though he's sort of... He
doesn't have a frame of reference at that point. He doesn't know why, but he's free.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't, I think in my approach to it, there are some subconscious things that go on in a person that they don't even know about, and I'm sure there are. If you'd lost your memory, those things would still be working.
Right.
So he doesn't know why in the diner that all this love and attention is so overwhelming, but it is, because he doesn't recognize it. He's never felt it.
Yeah, and
And
since
he's
lost
never
his
been
memory
told
from the
he's
accident.
worthwhile. Yeah. And so he's willing to believe, he's willing to fill up his life with the details that they give him. And it was interesting, because I think of things on strange esoteric levels sometimes when I'm approaching characters. I think of them as animals. I think, you know, he's a hyena and Luke is a lion, and, you know.
Explain that. Now, that's interesting. Luke is the character who is heroic, who's gone off to war.
He's a hunter.
He's a hunter. Yeah. And your character, Peter, is a hyena.
He is.
But he has hunter-esque qualities.
He is a hunter, actually,
him.
who's acting like a hyena.
Yeah.
And
out of fear.
Out of fear, and also just not out of, you know, low self-esteem. You know, I believe, and anybody with some kind of self-esteem, at least I believe, you know, sits back and goes, you know what? I believe in the universe. I believe in the Horn of Plenty. I believe in the cornucopia. You know, so I'm not afraid of Tom Cruise and what his movies do, and I can enjoy it, and I can enjoy Russell Crowe, and because there is so much in the universe, we all, you know, can feed from it, and we all, you know, there's enough for everybody.
Is that where you are in your head at this Christmas season? They've got Russell Crowe as a movie out, Tom Cruise has a movie out. You're saying there's enough. I'm perfectly happy with what Jim has earned.
I've been given so much. I mean, I would be a green boar at the trough of life, you know, if I question.
If you wanted it all.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you know, I sit down with friends of mine who are in the acting profession, and they say, you know, these are really good actors, and they say, man, no one's really getting the chance to do what you're getting to do. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's quite an arc that's going on here.
To have your chance at bat time and time again.
I feel so lucky to have that.
But you had to bring something, otherwise they would not continue to give you the chance, and you obviously recognize that.
You have to allow yourself to be seen. That's the risk. The risk is, especially for somebody who's comedic, who has that weapon at his disposal.
Just to go off into a rift.
Yeah. To risk being seen is the toughest thing in the world. We're all very shy people, you know, people who do comedy. We're shy, and the emotion is right there on the surface. If you pricked me with a pin, I would fly around the room, you know, so that's the risk, is that you are showing them yourself, your true, authentic self, and the chances of being rejected are much more important, you know, much more terrifying.
Where does the physicality come from that has been a hallmark of what you have done?
I think of my inner child as like this palsied maniac, you know, like that you know, pulls his lip over his head. That's what I see. I see somebody trying to get attention. Again, it's the miracle worker. You know, I identify with that character in the Rainmaker so strongly.
The con man.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not a con man. He wants to believe it.
Yeah.
This is
he believes. He wants to believe.
He wants to believe, and he also knows that he does have some kind of power, that we all have that power, but he uses it, you know, and I use it. You know, he wants to prove to everybody that he's special, that he's worthwhile. And
you once said that if you went on stage, that's a character you'd like to play.
Sure, absolutely. I understand him. Yeah.
Would you risk going on stage? Would you view it a risk?
It's all a risk, but yeah, no, going on stage would be wonderful. I used to, you know, I did 15 years in the comedy clubs before I really started acting.
Well, one-on-one, stand-up,
which is a PhD of some kind.
Well, it's a PhD of being able to relate to an audience, for sure.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and that's
handling drunks.
But
I've had some nights, by the way.
You told me a story that was amazing at the comedy club. Near the tail end, we were talking about all the people that had been a part of that sort of career that you saw in stand-up when you were doing stand-up and impressions and all of that. Richard Pryor backstage and saying to you,
I'm not sure that I'm funny right now, you know, I don't really feel funny. And, you know, there was a period where he went up on stage and he would say that to the audience as well, and the audience would try to support him. They would say, no, you are, we know you are. And it was a tough time he went through, you know, when he was getting sober and he was trying to figure out what he was about. And I think he had lost a lot of, you know, this is the thing. It's like, God, you better own it, you know? Whatever it is, you better own it.
I know. I understand that. Yeah.
And, you know, I talked early on with my father, who was a jazz musician. He had an orchestra up in Canada, and there was a point where I was hanging out with Sam Kinison, and we were, you know, experimenting with all kinds of different craziness. And I saw people going up on stage stoned. I saw incredible things being expressed. And I, in fact, did it myself. You know, I went up on stage that way. And I remember one night going up on stage that way and having, you know, Kinison and all the rest of the gang, all the comics at the back of the club trying to heckle me. And I was unstoppable. I mean, I couldn't be penetrated. My defenses were just right on, man. I was loaded. And it was an amazing thing. But when I walked off the stage and they came up and said, man, how did that happen? What was happening there? You know, and I said, it's not me. I'm high. I can't own this.
You
can't own it. You can't own it, you know? So what's the use of having it? I mean, that's the worst thing in the world, to get to a certain point in your life and receive accolades and things like that, and go secretly to yourself, I wonder if I could have done it if I was, you know. That's not I chose early on to never go that route.
And what do you own now? What is it you own, you think? Because that's the essence of where you are professionally.
I think I own. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I owe a lot. But I own my self-esteem. I own my, geez, what do I own? You know, it's a weird thing, because I'm like always mixed up with this, because I have so much, but I don't really have this need for stuff. I'm always like afraid almost that, you know, I like say prayers, you know, make sure, you know, that I still have something to do here, because you know, I really believe in the idea that if you don't have something to do here, you go.
Well, what's interesting, you said something about your parents that just fascinated me. At a certain point, they were just waiting for the end.
Yeah. And absolutely lovely people.
Right.
But kind of lost heart, you know. My father lost his job, and that hurt him a lot.
Attrition of life had taken its toll.
Yes, absolutely. And I think at a certain point they weren't enjoying it anymore. They weren't. They were just kind of waiting around. And I saw that early on, and I said, no, I can't have that. I have to break that cycle.
Yeah.
You know.
Probably that whole influence within your family and the role that you had to play in going out and supporting your family. The first thing you do in L.A. when you make some money is bring them out there.
Yeah.
Right.
I called them up. I've got the Duck Factory. Come on out. You know, live with me. It's Easy Street. It's
your first movie.
It's Elvis. It's like, you know, welcome to Graceland.
This is a story you've told before, but it's worth telling.
Sure.
At your father's death, you wrote a check.
Well, I had written the check 4 years before. And up on Mulholland Drive, a special place that I have that I kind of look out over there, and I do visualizations, and I still do it sometimes for different reasons.
Go up to Mulholland Drive and look out over the city, and
yeah,
and visualize.
And, I used to open my arms. I used to sit up there, you know, and open my arms and imagine a giant funnel of gifts coming
would come right into
from the
you.
universe.
Yes.
Honest to God, you could, you know, cut to me there. I'm like this, and if nothing else, it made me feel more positive about where I was. I drove down from Mulholland Drive every night, you know, that I went up there, feeling that I was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. I was doing wonderful work that made people happy. I was, you know, I owned all that. That was it. You know, I guess, you know, what I own, when you think about it, is my faith. Yeah. That's what I own. That's about it. Because I started thinking materially and all those things.
Your faith in yourself.
Life.
Or your
Absolutely.
faith in some...
Faith in the universe, faith in myself. Yeah.
That is in the end what you own.
That's
the
it.
sense of...
That's all I have.
That's exactly right. You can strip all the stuff away, and
right.
and if you have that sense of...
That's huge.
It's as big as it gets. That's what they...
huge.
You know, for the most part...
I've seen mountains move in my life, so I've had just endless gifts, and they've all been things that I have, at some point, sat and made myself believe were possible.
And you did, with the check 4 years earlier, you did what with it?
Right. I wrote myself a check when I was up on Mulholland Drive.
Right.
I wrote myself a post-dated check, Thanksgiving 1995, for the sum of $10 million. And again, it wasn't about the money, it was about where you are if you're receiving that kind of money. And what you're doing. Because I've examined that all the way along, you know, when all this $20 million man business was happening. You know, I've examined what my motivations are, and the fact is I'm addicted to expressing myself in certain ways, and I have to do it, and I would do it if I was making 20 cents. Yeah. So it's really about that. Especially now, I have enough money to live 20 lives, so I can't stop. I mean, good stories combined. My biggest problem is that I can't do them all. Yeah. And so
choice is
these scripts have to go to other people who are wonderful acters, and I have to sit back and watch them happen.
Saying, I wish I had more time to do more of them, because
I want to do them all.
Tell me, to set this up for you, this is you're going to meet the townspeople in the diner, and then you're going to meet Adele, who's played by Laurie Holden, for the first time. Anything which we know about this moment?
I don't think you need to know anything about this moment.
Roll tape. Here it is.
You'll see it.
Thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so there we see another scene. I'm going to have another one because I want to get through some of these because they say a lot. Back to Jimmy Stewart for a moment. You said he had a divine spark.
Yes.
Meaning that there was just something about him.
It's that thing you protect, that you either, you know, it's interesting because I'm getting into the Howard Hughes story.
I just saw that today. Go ahead and tell us about that in a second.
Yeah, we just secured the biography by Richard Hack, and it's just such a tremendous story, and it pertains to this in the idea that it's an old C.S. Lewis book. You ever read the Screw Tape Letters?
Oh, yes, right.
Well, one of the correspondence between the demon in hell and the minion on earth is the minion is trying to you know, corrupt the human soul. And he sends a letter to Screwtape saying, we've won. He's joined the army. He's going to fight on the front lines. And Screwtape says, you fool, don't you know that it takes a whole life to corrupt the human soul? And there's so much of that kind of working in my work now and in my life. I'm so conscious of that. I'm so conscious of, you know, the Howard Hughes story is fascinating, because at what point did he go too far? Yeah. You know, what point was it? Is there a pivotal moment? In this story there is. There's a pivotal moment in Peter's life that he's faced with that will change the rest of his life. It will change his destiny. And
when he comes to grips with when he comes to a moment of honor and integrity, and in a sense, is he willing to step up the plate? Is he willing to be a man? Is he willing to do the right
to sacrifice himself for
the
others?
right thing?
Yeah.
You know, is he willing to go to prison or whatever it might take in order to do the right thing?
Yeah. So,
but Hughes's life, here is this person who was who did many things. I mean, he went to Hollywood, he conquered Hollywood. Sure. You know, he created TWA Airlines.
He certainly had something to prove, didn't he?
And then he ends up on the top of a hotel first in Las Vegas, and then in Nicaragua with long fingernails. You know.
Self-loathing is a powerful thing.
Self-loathing. And that fascinates you because...
because I'm fascinated with that myself, and I'm wary of it myself. About my motivations, about my allegiances, about what I'm expressing in the world, you know, just my day-to-day, you know, contact with people. The idea that, you know, if people come up to me and say, I love you, you know, I try extra hard to give them energy, you know, to make it something that isn't about me. It's about them and this moment, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm constantly, you know, trying to figure out where I'm at and whether I'm corrupting myself or not, or I'm probably just, you know, really too much about this, but it weighs heavy on me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Let me take a look at another clip. We'll come back. This is where a friend, a young townsman, says to Peter that he doesn't trust him, that Peter, who's allowed himself, because he'd had amnesia from the accident, to be sort of visited by these town people who want to take him because, in a wonderful performance by Martin Landau, as the father of young Luke, sees in Peter, who's come there, perhaps because of physical resemblance, because out of his own needs, the townspeople are adopting him as Luke, the hero from the war who hasn't come back, and all of a sudden there's someone who says, not so fast, buddy, here it is. I don't want to give it. Let me just come back to Howard Hughes for a second.
Sure.
We were talking about, we went from Jimmy Stewart to Howard Hughes, and the notion of fascination with what can happen to a life if you become too enamored of whatever. So you see
Too
this
desirous,
book,
too hungry.
and so you were sitting along with a guy that you wanted to know, or who you'd met, who directed Memento.
Yeah, I'd seen Memento, and I just loved it. I just thought that was such an original approach, and just terrific. And we were talking about Howard Hughes, and I was very interested in doing the story, and so suddenly it popped into my head, Chris Nolan, this guy I had been thinking about. I just wanted to meet and tell him how much I admired his work. And I went, wow, what a fascinating story for him to tell, because he likes to tell things kind of in a non-linear way.
Boy,
He's
does he.
very creative. And this is a story that is absolutely ripe for that. It's perfect for that. So I'm just really looking forward to what he does. He's a terrific writer.
Is that the next project?
No, I don't
How
really
far out
know.
are you? You don't know when it'll happen.
Don't really know. Are you giving me the finger upside down?
No, it looks
okay.
like it
All
does.
right. I don't know. I don't know. Is there some kind of code here?
Yeah, when I do that, it's in the wrong thing. Let me talk about some movies. I want to do that before we go. And then we had Ron Howard here last year talking about you. Just that year of 1944, Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura.
I think that was 94.
Okay, I meant, what did I say, 84? I meant
44,
94.
but you know, I've been around a while, I get
50 years later, in 94. What was that for you? The series of must have made close to $1 billion of films.
It was a very strange time.
Yeah.
It was a very strange time, and it took me a while to kind of get used to this new air that I was flying in.
Yeah.
But it was so exciting. It was so exciting because there really is a crucial moment, especially when somebody comes out of a TV show, like in Living Color, where they get their shot, you know? And I didn't know that Ace Ventura was going to be my shot, you know what I mean? I mean, this is something that I agreed to rewrite and do if I liked it. I had a back door in the contract if I didn't like it. But we, you know, spent a lot of late nights after filming in Living Color and rewriting. And by the time I was finished, it was like it was my fantasy. It was everything I wanted to do. But when it was received that well, I remember sitting in a theater in Westwood during the premiere, and when the lights went off and the people applauded, and it was an energy that you didn't normally see at a premiere. And
you knew at that moment
it was
real.
Oh, it was real. It was real, and I felt it, and I got a chill, and I said to myself, new life, a new phase, and it's going to be interesting. And it's all how you handle it, you know? Yeah. It really comes down to whether you pick it up and carry it well or not.
And then after coming out of those three films, which grossed all that money, somebody, your agent, your lawyer says, if you look at how much these films did, you are looking at the first $20 million man. I guess that's something like that happened, right?
Sure.
For cable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I guess, unprecedented at that time.
It was, because everybody all of a sudden wanted to be up there with you.
Yeah.
People like
I had
Tom
A-list
and
actors
Harrison
taking
Ford.
me aside going,
what did you do?
thanks for raising the bar, man.
Hey, but,
I called my agent the next day.
Hey, you did us all a big one.
Exactly.
You know, there's an amazing story. There's a story in today's LA Times about
In fact, it was as if I had gone through the door and taken the flack. I think Tom Hanks said that to me one time. It's just like, anytime you want to go through the door, man.
You stab at the beachhead,
Exactly.
we'll be right behind
you. Take the bullets, and we'll come in.
So you do the Cable Man, and what was it, Cable Man?
Cable Guy.
Cable Guy.
Yeah.
And it does well, yet some say didn't do what they expected. Was that a downer for you or not?
First of all, I love doing it. I had a great time.
So the experience
doing
is
it
first.
with Ben Stiller and Judd Apatow is a close friend of mine.
Right.
Had such a great time. And for me, just to get that character on film is a triumph for me. So
Now,
I loved it.
why is that? What was it about that
Because it's
character?
just so silly. It's just so silly and so needy.
Yeah.
You know, under the guise. I really love comedic characters who try to act like they're in control and even convince themselves that they're in control, but they're completely and obviously not in control in any way.
And that is
That's a fun thing to play.
Is it
It's shot in the dark. It's Peter Sellers. It's the guy who's the expert, except things are falling apart everywhere he goes. You know, it's fantastic. I love that.
And after that, was the next one, was the next Truman? Did Truman follow that or something else? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't recall exactly what
But
the
Truman was
lineage of it
different.
was.
Truman was a turn from that.
Yeah, sure. And that, again, was Peter Weir hired me from the Ace poster, basically. And here's a guy with some you know, some vision.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know?
Great decisions are made by posters.
He looked at the Ace poster and he said, "Here, this is someone I want to work with." You know, and also when he got to know who I was and that I was going through the fame thing at the same time, you know, to play the most famous person on the planet was a kind of a natural thing for me to step into, because I had all the feelings of paranoia and everything that go with it at the beginning, and also there were so many parallels. These scripts find me, you know, they really do at certain times of my life, and you know, for me that was about. You know, and a lot of the characters I've done so far have been about duality, about what you show the world and what you really are. And so I've always been trying to reconcile the two.
Were you trying to reconcile in your life too, are you not?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of what we.
That's what I mean.
That's part of our conversation at the beginning.
Exactly. They follow me and they give me little insights into myself. And the Truman Show was that. It was, you know, I know that this face pleases you, you know, but now I'm going to show you the real deal. And I hope there's enough there that, you know, that you can identify with, that we can sit together and break bread, and you'll think I'm as special as I was before.
All right. Roll tape. Here is Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
Did you know Andy?
I never knew Andy. No, I knew of him. I followed him for sure.
Yeah. What was it about that story that made it so compelling for you to want to? Not only did you want to play the role, but you became the role during the, as oft-told story of you.
I was fascinated, first of all, at the fact that he could stand in the face of rejection and stick to his guns and stick to his art and his expression, and, you know, to hell with the people who didn't want to think, you know, or just were just not into it. You know, he was just going to do what he did. And I'm fascinated by what creates characters. You know, what defines people, what creates them, what puts them together. Everybody's Frankenstein, and they just, like, as life goes on, you either lose pieces of yourself, gain other pieces, and it just, that's the fascinating thing about acting. It's like somebody like Andy Kaufman. What is it? And I stood by his gravesite, you know, with his sister, and she said one thing to me that cleared it all up, and that was that Andy was never part of the club, so he created his own club that no one else could be a part of.
Roll tape. This is from Man on the Moon. I should take note of the fact that you won a Golden Globe for that, as well as for The Truman Show.
Yes.
Does the Oscar mean something special? I mean, it's your craft. It's a place where they honor people.
Of course, it means something. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's a nice thing to be recognized by your peers. Certainly, it's, you know, that would be a wonderful thing if that happened someday. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the Golden Globe Awards, actually, because I've never really, you know, I don't define myself by that. Again, I
Right.
feel like I've been given so much that I don't think about, you know, gosh, you know, if I could only, you know, have that stamp of approval or whatever it is. I don't think actors need that, you know. But
How do you, back to sort of somebody looking at you and all that's happened to you and the good things and how wonderful it must be to have an opportunity to create when so many actors don't have that opportunity. They you know, it's one of the professions in the world in which there are more people, you know, who can do it well, who don't have a stage than anything else, than the few who do it so well, and I mean, than the few who are recognized for doing it so well.
Sure.
Do you look on this as sort of some combination of drive, determination, divine spark, luck, all of that? I mean,
It's a potion of some kind. There are a lot of elements that have to come together at the same time, I believe. Maybe there's a little bit of fate involved. I don't know. Maybe as a soul floating out in the ether, you just go, okay, it's my time, and everybody gets a chance to be this famous at some point if you believe in reincarnation or whatever. Maybe just they go, okay, there are the parents that are going to set me off in that direction, bam, and you go in there. Who knows? Maybe it's fate, or maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that I believed, you know, I always believed. So,
that whatever form it took, it would take place.
and and whatever form it took would be okay.
Yeah.
Because I was fully, you know, prepared to just play out, you know, stand-up comedy in comedy clubs. And
Yeah, but there's
work
something
as much
within
as I
you that
could.
constantly pushed the edges of the envelope wherever you were.
Well, or at least took advantage of the opportunities that came around. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, just the courage to jump in. I mean, you know, to do films that are out of your so-called power alley, as they call it, it takes nerve, you know. So I have the nerve, you know, and we'll see if I have the goods, but I have the nerve. I'm just excited, really, about always changing, about crossing back and forth across the river and throwing the hounds off the trail. I love that.
Just when we think we've got you, we know you, you're off on another route.
Absolutely. And if I feel like I've been figured out, boy, look out. I will become something completely different, you know. Maybe I might not want to become something completely different, but express something completely different. I always felt like if the world is going crazy, I'll be calm. And if they're calm, I'll be the one hanging off the chandelier.
It's great to have you here.
It's great to be
Thank you.
here,
Thank
Charlie.
you very much.
Tremendous. I really enjoy what you do.
Thank you. I should say Majestic opens nationwide on December 21st. Jim Carrey's been our guest for the hour, and I hope we'll do this again.